I've got to climb this mountain as quickly as possible because I believe the view is going to be worth it, but you're kind of murdering yourself in the process.
Yeah.
And usually what I find along that way is people do get overwhelmed because they're trying to take on way too much in one go to try and get to that place because they're making where they are so bad and wrong.
Yeah.
First up, guys, stop it. Couple of tips. Enjoy the goddamn view where you're at. 2, if you've never been where you're going, you have no freaking idea how long it's going to take to get there.
Welcome to Marketing with Vino, the edutainment business growth podcast, mixing education and entertainment to make growing your service business much more fun. Your hosts, Quinton Venter, online marketing expert, and Gabby Kowalski, creator of the Business Freedom Formula, have a glass of wine and share powerful and up-to-date strategies to help grow your service business fast.
Welcome, amazing audience, to another amazing episode. Marketing with Vino. Joining us is the most beautiful, amazing Gabs. Welcome, Gabs.
Welcome, Quinton. Thank you. Hello, awesome, sexy listeners and viewers on YouTube. Yeah, today we want to talk to you about some cool stuff. But before we do, I just wanted to touch base. So, Quinton, what are you drinking to make this conversation even more fun and epic?
I don't know if you can see it.
So if you're on YouTube, wow, that's really colourful. That's quite bright.
It's a beautiful rosé. So a couple of weeks ago, we went on a boys' weekend down to Mudgee. Or not down to Mudgee, west inlands towards Mudgee. And we visited a couple of family wineries around the area. Tried some cool little wines, and one of them was this one. Very plain looking, but the reason why I got it was it's not overly sweet, even though the color might suggest that it is. And it's got a nice flavor to it, not overly strawberry, and it is actually just how I like it. I like it nice and dry. So great wine. That's what I'm sipping on. What about yourself?
Lovely. And gosh, it's really, for those that are listening, it looks like raspberry cordial.
It does.
Does it taste like it? Looks yummy.
It smells very fruity.
Yeah.
It smells a little bit strawberry,
more dry.
But it's dry, yes.
That's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
That's how I like it.
That's how you like it. I would have been like, Quinton, what's wrong with my cordial? Anyway, so I've been drinking some Pinot, some lovely Pinot, and oh goodness, the bottle's over there. I moved to try and give everyone a different view.
No.
We're having a bit of bottle's low over there. Anyway, yeah, it's a nice Pinot. Recently, I said this in the last episode. Recently, I learned that Pinot apparently is the healthiest wine to drink because it's got the most healthy stuff in it, like antioxidants and something in it that, my apologies for not remembering. Either way, all I got from the conversation, I was at a seminar and he was talking about it, all I got was, Gabby, drink more Pinot, and off I went. So Pinot it is. Mind you though, I just came back from a trip in Dalesford.
Tell us about it.
Which was stunning. So it was my mum's 60th birthday this weekend, and I thought to do something special for her, I hired out this gorgeous home on a hill, overlooking the lake and the botanic gardens and the forest. So beautiful. Had a fireplace, 4-bed, probably way too big for us, but I liked the comfort and just the luxury of it. Stunning place. Booked out this amazing restaurant called Lake House Restaurant in Dalesford, which is 5-star.
Yeah.
Delicious food. And we're at this restaurant for her birthday, and we ordered a wine, and oh my God, Quinton, I wish I remembered what it was. It was so good. Please remember, if you've been listening, guys, or watching, I had a complete alcohol-free almost 6 weeks, and I've just had I've drank alcohol now twice. This is my 3rd time. Last week's podcast. Anyway, long story short, I'm at the restaurant. This wine was a Cabernet Sauvignon. This wine was so delicious that I drank, like, realistically two glasses. I was quite tipsy.
Yeah.
It was just so nice. I couldn't stop drinking it. And I'm sitting there going, oh, and I can kind of feel that my voice is starting to slur a little bit. But I wish I remembered the name of this wine. It was so good. So yeah, fantastic time in Dalesford. I've come to the conclusion that every single human being needs to spend time in nature. If you look at just, human beings are meant to spend time in nature. We're not meant to be around bricks and buildings.
Yeah, we're not from the concrete jungle. We are from the real jungle.
I think at the end of the day, we are animals, and we do seem to recharge. There's not a single person I know that doesn't benefit from spending some time in nature, and I feel awesome. 4 days in nature. Not that I live, like I live by the beach, I live in nature sort of anyway, but not the same. Not like this. Not where just there's trees everywhere. They're just, I feel so fantastic. Absolutely.
You look it too. You look relaxed. You look happy. You look rejuvenated. And I'm excited to get into this.
Yes. So what we want to share with you guys is, and it's actually on point. So one thing, I'm really grateful for the fact that I can last minute go, you know what, I want to do something extra special for my mum, and I can just go away for a few days, and I've got the money and the time to be able to organise these types of things without having to have to, I don't know, like if, ultimately, people, like I remember when I was an employee and you'd have to apply for annual leave and all of that kind of stuff, you were, you're dictated by somebody else's rules. So if I wanted to plan a last minute trip like this, there's highly likely I would have been declined because there's just not enough time to fill my professional position, all that kind of jazz. Yeah. Two, I also remember a time in business where, my God, there was no way in hell I could just leave the business just, willy-nilly, for 4 days and not think like, oh yeah, let's just go. There's no way. Things would have fallen apart. Just could not happen.
You come back to angry emails. Lots of angry emails.
Come back to, yes, a lot of problems. Because the business so heavily relied on myself being there. Just that I was needed to the point of ridiculous. So I was actually thinking of this during my trip, and that was, I have clients that come to me, and ultimately what I sell is freedom. You could say I sell business coaching, but I don't. I sell freedom. I sell time and money freedom and the feeling of being fulfilled. That's what I truly sell in my business. And it's funny because people come to me and that's what they want. They want time and money freedom. And, and so the conversation I wanted to have today with you was around the actual, the concept of freedom, and what does freedom really mean? And what does it really mean when you get time and money freedom? And what is it that we're really wanting? But more importantly, who do we actually need to be in order to not just create it, but also appreciate it? Because you can have time and money freedom, but if you're not the right who, meaning you're not your thinking, your vantage point, your perspective, your filtration system of how you perceive the world is not the right system, you'll actually miss the whole thing. Yeah.
And I also think it is that initial perception of freedom as when you're coming from a job perspective, from your 9 to 5, you're viewing your freedom as you don't have to work, you've got your holiday. So it's almost, or from my perspective, experiencing that was during your holiday, you're free to do whatever you want. And people have the illusion that they want more of that. They want to have more of that free time, that free weeks. We don't have to go back to the boss. We don't have any of those specific responsibilities to enjoy more of the good stuff. But reality is that is no longer appreciated if you keep doing too much of it. And also the fact of you get over it very quickly. It's not sustainable if you don't have the right systems in place that can even support that kind of lifestyle.
That's right. And so it's funny because I'll have people come to me and I'll say, well, what do you want to create? What's the purpose of hiring me in the first place? What do you want? And they'll tell me they want financial freedom. They want time freedom so they can spend more time with their family, they can travel the world, yada, yada, yada. Every now and then, I'll laugh at this, every now and then, they'll tell me, they just want to be able to friggin' sit on an island, drinking a cocktail and enjoy their life while their business is flying. And this is why I laugh, because ultimately, it's great. But you know what? Come about week 4 on that holiday, it gets fucking boring. You honestly, it really isn't it's like there's something special in having certain things be special. Holidays are extra delicious because we don't go on them 24/7. Yeah. It's funny, we ate at this amazing restaurant, a 5-star restaurant, food, and I'm so, if you know what it's like to eat with me, I'm usually difficult to please. I was very pleased at this restaurant. The point though is it's not every day you eat it's not every day most people eat at a 5-star restaurant for breakfast, lunch and dinner. For the most part, majority of the people that I know of, they'll eat at these places every now and then or for special occasions, and that's what makes it special. Whereas if you were to eat at a 5-star restaurant 24/7, you'd actually find yourself being human we get complacent. Not complacent. Sorry. We get what's the word I'm looking for? We take shit for granted.
Yeah.
It's like I remember as a kid. Do you remember as a kid, you get a toy, you'd want a toy, and you'd be like, oh, you had your eye on this toy for ages, and you're like, Mum, Dad, you're trying to be a good boy or a good girl in my case, and then you finally got the toy. I remember when I first got anyway, you probably got different toys than what I thought of, but I got my child. My child was a specific doll, and it was the best thing ever. I loved my child. I took her everywhere. I was so delicate and careful with her not to get her dirty, and I looked after her so well for the first 2 weeks. Then after that, my child
grab it by the hair,
grab it by the
kick it.
She's under the bed. The point I'm trying to make is that's human nature to not to appreciate stuff that you have on a day-to-day basis. This is why. I task my clients and myself every day to be conscious to appreciate what I already have.
Yeah.
That it takes conscious effort to really feel the appreciation for the mundane. Usually we don't appreciate our health until we lose it. Appreciate our loved ones until we lose them. It's the contrast, it's the high contrast that makes things extra delicious.
Yeah.
So in business, if the benchmark is freedom, time, money, freedom, why do you want it? And this is why everyone tells me they want it, because they believe at the end of the day that in having it, they will feel better. They'll have a feeling of freedom and bliss and just friggin' flow, and it's going to feel good. What they're wanting is to feel good, and they believe that this thing's going to get there. Now, here's the thing. If you're wanting to feel good, but every day you got time and money. Every day you can eat at a 5-star restaurant. Every day is a holiday. Every day is sports cars. Every day is insert the stuff that usually excites us. Guess what happens to the ultimate reason for trying to get the freedom in the first place, which was to feel good. Guess what happens to feeling good?
Well, that is no longer good. It's just average. It's just mundane. It's like, this is okay now. Now you're trying to reach for the next level of good, but you don't even know what that is. That's what happens.
Yeah, and it's funny. So, I remember I used to think, what is wrong with superstars? Why do rock stars freaking go wonko, and end up, dying on drugs, this, that, drug overdoses, crazy shit, destroying hotel rooms, divorces, and blah, blah, blah. But it makes sense. Imagine being an artist, and you're playing your music because you love it. And you've probably been struggling, playing in garages and bullshit clubs and bars for a long time, a decade or so before you even discovered. You're, quite frankly, eating noodles, you're working waitress jobs, all that kind of jazz. You're living it tough. You get discovered. All of a sudden, you go from zero to hero. You go, you have it all. You have the freedom. You have the perceived, what business owners call freedom. Now, at first, it's intoxicating. Yeah. But then, no wonder these people escape to drugs and alcohol. Because it's sensory. There's just, you need more,
they want to go to the next level. They want to reach that next level. And to a lot of people, it may be to escape through using recreational drugs, to be able to experience that through different senses and really push their bodies to the next limit. Because at the end of the day, if you have everything around you, then what else is there? Then you're like, I need to have more, go to the next level. And that is one way of escaping, definitely.
And a lot of people find themselves in these sort of extremities where, people get wealthier and have more time. So it's funny, you may be looking at it from the sideline and you'll go, wow, he has a plane. Wow, he's got a private plane. That's freaking impressive. But if you actually looked inside that person's mind, what you'd find is that person is so friggin' they've run out of things that gives them pleasure. They need to go to extremities to get that hit of pleasure.
Yeah.
So why am I sharing this and why are we talking about this? It's because, both Quinton and I were having a chat just before we pressed record, and that was, we know that everyone deserves to feel good and have freedom. However, the irony, what I've found over the years, is freedom is not acquired by seeking a path to not be responsible and to be completely void of a to-do list, so to speak.
Yeah.
To me, over the years, I've found that true freedom is actually acquired by valuing and loving systems and structures in business.
Yeah.
You know, when you spend the time to put certain systems and structures in place, ironically, those systems and structures are what create a possibility for you to be free in the first place. However, guess what? There's rules. It's not like, to me, the more free you get, the higher the responsibility goes.
Yeah.
Like literally, it's your level of freedom in life will be directly linked to the amount of responsibility you can handle without losing your shit.
Well, we can put it back to just growing up, where as a child we think that freedom is by leaving home and being away from the parents. We can do whatever we want. But before we can actually do that, we need to grow. We need to learn certain things. We need to take on responsibility of what it's like to be able to pay bills, to be able to hold a job, be able to build relationships, be able to do certain things, take on responsibility of doing things ourselves before we can have the freedom of stepping out into the own world. So with that, you're 100% correct. It is as we increase our responsibility load, we also increase our overall freedom that we're able to experience. But there's a down payment to that. There's also more pressure on you. And it is when you drop the ball, if you are growing up into that higher level of executive or the next level of Fortune 500s where you've got partnerships and all of that, that is a shitloads of responsibility, yet it comes with a lot of freedom, but also so much pressure around for when you do drop that ball, you got to bring your A game, you got to play at that field because you've got a team members now, and if you drop the ball, you're letting the rest of the team down.
Yep, exactly. And depending on the business model you have, it works a bit differently everywhere. So what we wanted to do today is share with you a few structures. You know, I'm running an intensive for my awesome clients this Sunday, and I'm sharing some cool things that I use in my own life to help them out. One of them, and this is what I really, really want you to get, that to me, true freedom is reached when you acquire the mindset of someone who feels free and doesn't take shit seriously, but also takes care of the stuff that needs to get taken care of. Knows that your business is like your kid. You look after it. Yeah. The parent. I believe that the parents out there that don't friggin' sweat the small stuff, that can keep their cool, tend to be happier than the parents that lose their shit over everything, right?
Micromanage everything, yeah.
Yes, that's right. And same with business owners. So it's funny, I was chatting to one of my clients a couple of weeks ago, and it's been a little bit of a common theme recently with some of my new clients. That's why I thought I'd chat about it today. And that is them feeling a bit overwhelmed and like there's so much to do. So that's why we recorded last week's podcast.
That was a good podcast, by the way. That was epic.
Oh, they're always epic, aren't they? But just feeding off that though, to add a little bit more to it. If you're chasing so let's call it freedom. Let's put whatever goal you're wanting at a business. If you're chasing that, that's whatever you call success, whatever you call that thing that you believe that when you get it, you'll have more feeling good.
Yeah.
If you chase that place for a place of I must, I have to, it actually it F's everything up, because the who you're being is desperate. You're activating adrenals. It's this, I've got to climb this mountain as quickly as possible because I believe the view is going to be worth it, but you're kind of murdering yourself in the process.
Yeah.
And usually what I find along that way is people do get overwhelmed because they're trying to take on way too much in one go to try and get to that place because they're making where they are so bad and wrong.
Yeah.
First up, guys, stop it. Couple of tips. Enjoy the goddamn view where you're at. 2, if you've never been where you're going, you have no freaking idea how long it's going to take to get there. So if you've given yourself, like I still remember, gosh, it's funny, and not knowing. I remember when I first launched my group business coaching business. We're running seminars, and never been in that business model before, but had been in other business models before and gotten quite considerable success really quickly. No shit, I said to myself, I'm talking from no idea about how to run this business, never done it before, run seminar type, mastermind.
Yeah.
I said within 6 months I'll be, I believed I'd be on $500,000 in 6 months' time, no problem.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you, Quinton, it did not happen.
I had similar ambitions when I first started.
Yeah. Purely, but this is where if you've never been to where you're going, if you've never been up the top of the mountain with whatever goal you've got in business, consider for a second that you have no freaking idea what the timeline could be. So sometimes setting yourself timelines that are short is actually going to do you more damage and cause a lot more problem. Now, if you're stressed and feeling overwhelmed and your destination is freedom, you aren't in the proximity of the who you need to be to attract in the first place. No. The vibration you're emitting is desperate, frustrated, stressed, lack, scarcity. Freedom is nowhere near your proximity. You're on the wrong mountain, buddy.
Yeah. You're not climbing Everest.
No.
You're on the other mountain, the other side.
You're somewhere totally different. The one thing that I love, and this particular tool, and I'm happy to actually share it in our Marketing with Vino CLUB. I just actually got it designed to print the A2 version for my peeps this Sunday. It's called a Scrum board. And it's a freaking, if you've never heard of a Scrum board before, if you have, awesome. If you haven't, it's freaking awesome. Like literally, I love it. So there's different variations of a Scrum board. You can literally Google it and you'll find some.
Yeah.
Now, the one I like personally for myself is, and you can even make your own so easily. Like think of a big piece of paper and give that piece of paper 4 columns.
Yeah.
And leave the first column alone, go to the second column for a second, and in the second column at the top, you write, you can use different wording, but you write to do. On the third column, you write doing, and on the fourth column, you write done. And you get post-it notes, and you literally write on every single post-it note, you write all the different projects that you want to achieve. Now, you put them all in the to-do column, yeah? Then you're looking at all your projects in one glance, and you can actually prioritize. Okay, which ones of these projects are going to be the most impactful for me right now? And you take a few of them and you put them into the doing column.
Yeah.
You leave all the others there. Guess what? You just friggin' focus on those projects until they're done, and you move them to the done column. Now, once they're in the done column, they're not allowed to leave the done column until you celebrate them. So if you've got a project,
cool.
yeah. So they once they've been celebrated, then they move out of the done column, and that's it. They're a part of your history. Now for me, the far left column is what I call content ideas. And this is actually a brand new column that I've created purely because I had a different system for it. So now on my Scrum board, there's content ideas to do, doing, done. So every time I get an idea to do a video blog or an opt-in or whatever, I write it on a post-it note, stick it on the content thing, and I've got like 1, 2, 3, I've got 5. In the last couple of, just before I went to Dalesford, in 2 days, I've already put 5 on this list purely because I had a column there before. My content ideas kind of lived all over the shop. They were in my phone, they were on pieces of paper on my fridge. Okay, fair enough. They were written in lipstick on my mirror. So now they have a place to live. Why I love the Scrum board is purely because it takes overwhelm out. 1, you get all the shit you need to do, and it's there in colourful post-its. 2, it gets things finished. So what I've found, I don't know you Quentin, but what I've found is there's different types of people out there. There's people out there that love and thrive on starting something new. Yeah. We call these people the starters.
Yeah.
And they do these, so excited, this is awesome, the ideas person, woohoo. So what they usually do in business is they're great at starting, but they've got that many unfinished projects in their business. I'm not surprised these people probably have an alcohol addiction. You need a few glasses of wine to go.
Would you say that that's us marketing with Vino? It's alcohol every week? No? Okay.
Yes, I do believe we're starters. Like people that were born, so you might not be one, we'll see. So starters are people that love to start new things. Love it. The most energy, the most excitement is in that. Then there's people that are maintainers. Now, maintainers are sort of like more my parents' generation. So, if that makes sense, depending on what generation you are, you'll be in one of these things. Yeah. Maintainers are people that maintain really well. They don't tend to start new things, they kind of maintain the model. Yeah? Then there's finishers. There's people that literally they get off on finishing. Oh, smashed it, finished it. Dopamine rush. You could probably be one of them, to be honest with you, Quinton. I could be wrong. Yeah, you're based on your age group. I think you could be a finisher. Anywho, why I love the Scrum board is it doesn't matter if you're a starter, a maintainer, or a finisher. It works for everybody. If you're a finisher, it just means that you want to make sure that you put more things in your to-do section because it means you're going to be starting new things. Sorry, if you're a finisher, you need to maintain better. So finishers have a problem with maintenance; they just want to get shit done. The starters have a problem with finishing shit, because they just want to start more stuff. Yeah. And maintainers tend to not start new stuff, so they tend to maintain old systems. And they're not kind of keeping up with the times, if that makes sense. So in business, if you're a maintainer, you probably haven't jumped on and utilized social media. You're probably still doing some of the old school stuff you did years ago if you've been in business for a while. So why I love the Scrum board is it actually caters to all of them. Does that make sense? Like because you need to go from idea to maintaining it until it's finished, then celebrate it and lock it in. I love the Scrum board because no matter where you are, where you naturally resonate, it will actually serve you. And what about you? Like when you think of some of the quick sort of systems that you have in place that give you freedom. See, to me, the Scrum board gives me freedom because I feel awesome. Like I know there's shit to do. It doesn't overwhelm me at all. If it's in my doing column, I do it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's that simple. Like I'm not that fussed by that stuff anymore. Before the Scrum board, I felt like I had the weight of the world on my shoulders because it wasn't categorized into to do, doing, done. I know it sounds dumb.
No, it sounds very smart because at the end of the day, we thrive on structure, we thrive on discipline, we thrive on having things that we know what's going to come and what has been. It's just how we have our certainty around us and getting variety through the different things that we do. So falling back on our core needs. The way that I get more structure throughout my day, the way that I create more freedom throughout my day in order to spend time with Em whenever she finishes work is I actually structure in from the moment that I start my day and from the moment that I finish my day. And all of that has little gaps and pieces in whenever I focus on certain particular parts, where it is focusing on the number one thing from our previous podcast, just that one thing that I need to get done in order to get my day started, moving forward to something for my body, moving forward to something for my mind, and then overall getting shit done from my get shit done list. And then the rest of the evening, I'm free knowing that this is time that I can now spend with my partner. I can now spend that doing things that we love to do together. So matching all of that in. Before I had this actual set piece, I was working off a basic to-do list. It was simply just having my to-do list on a piece of paper, noting it down, and that thing would get lost and I'd be like, oh well, let's create a new one. And I'll forget things from whatever needs to be on that list. And it was causing more chaos than actual structure. Now, what I've actually found was getting me more freedom throughout my day is being disciplined with the rules that I've set for myself. I've set rules to get up at 5 a.m. I've set rules to be in bed by 10 p.m. It's just rules that I've lived, that I'm decided to live by, that's going to help me become a more productive, more effective person when I do focus on my tasks. And I think that's been the biggest thing that made a difference for me to be able to step into a state of I need to get shit done. I'm here, I've got my time now, and I'm here to get shit done now. It's almost a thing that's made the difference. As before, I didn't have that. I didn't have the mindset. I had the structure to write it down, but I didn't have the mindset, I didn't have the determination in order to do it and get it done. I was a lot more slack. So for me, it was the discipline that I've said that we start now and we finish now and we stick with that. And in between that, we do what we need to do.
Yeah. Yep, love that. And guys, do listen to the previous podcast if you want more details to how Quinton structures his day. Ultimately, what I got from that's kind of like new gold, and also like quite powerful for for the topic we're covering, which is if you want freedom, understand freedom doesn't equal chaos. I can do whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want it. I promise you that leads to being miserable and bored. The ultimate boredom. What you really want is you want to feel epic. You want to, your body is a chemical factory. When we finish it releases dopamine. You're a dopamine addict, my friend. It's true.
I'm an addict, yes.
Yep. And, we're hormone addicts. Our body's going to release oxytocin, dopamine. It does all sorts of stuff. Some people are adrenaline junkies, which, I personally believe leads to problem. But hey, I used to be one that, that finishing gives you dopamine. Cuddles and connection with your clients gives you oxytocin. Just depends on what you've got going on. When you reach for freedom, trust me, you want these things igniting. You still want your hits of dopamine, and you're not going to get them if there's nothing to achieve and finish and do.
Yeah.
Dopamine is something that achievers, get heavily addicted to. So what I got from what you said, Quinton, was one thing, and you may have been, I don't know if it was a conscious thing or not. You said rules. You said the word rules. I have rules.
Yeah.
To me, freedom is acquired with rules. And I know you're thinking, Gabby, that makes no friggin' sense. I want freedom so I don't have to abide by rules. No, not rules in the sense of somebody else's rules. Rules in the sense of who do you want to be? Who is the version of your best you? That by being that person, you'll actually feel free and epic and awesome. Because one way of us feeling awesome, of course, time and money freedom makes you feel awesome. Guess what? There's more to the puzzle. Just the time and the money won't mean shit if you don't like who you are.
Exactly. I found that as I'm developing into the new person, into that character that just determined and gets shit done and delivers and getting more dopamine, it is getting more into that character. That is allowing me to even thrive more on it. It is essentially who I'm becoming around me and what I'm being acknowledged for as to who I'm becoming, where I'm like, I'm on the right path here. This is me at my best state, and each and every day I strive to do better and do more. And that's the ultimate thing. It's not someone else's rule. I made these rules up myself. I could have chosen to just wake up at 7 or 6 or 4. I don't like waking up at 4. I love waking up at 5. Therefore, I've chosen it because it's when I'm then there to get ready and get shit done.
And so this is the thing, guys, that please understand, we're not telling you to get up at 5. However, if you want to be the person that gets up at 5, then do it. Have that be one of your rules, yeah?
Yeah.
So, to me, in achieving true freedom in life, it's actually knowing yourself. It's knowing yourself enough to know what that means. So for myself, I've been heavily focusing on health, and that's because to me, I believe a healthy body is what actually gives you the feeling of feeling good and the freedom to do whatever you want to. Now, in having a healthy body, do you think I get to do whatever the crap I want whenever I want?
No.
No. There are rules around having a healthy body. Yeah? So to me, it's what rules are going to be a fit for who you want to be. To me, it's become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Use systems and structures that give you freedom because everything's taken care of. It's funny. The other day, I gave a new client the calendar for this year and next year's webinars, intensives, the whole curriculum of working with me.
Yeah.
And she's like, God, I can't believe you've got, you've literally got friggin' like till the end of 2017 already planned out.
Most people don't even know what they're going to do tomorrow. It's like, how have you done this? Yeah.
Yeah, and exactly, her little eyes opened up. She's like, whoa, like I wish I was this organized. Get this though, to me, I've got a system around it. It's so friggin' replicable. Like, it is super awesome. All I do, it's just the best system. It looks complicated. It's like, wow, Gabby, that would have taken you ages. No. The whole thing translates. Every year it's the same thing. The dates change a little bit, but, every single month it's the same. Like, does that make sense? It's the second friggin' Sunday. In January, it's the third Sunday. Like, it's literally every year it rolls over. And it just gets tweaked purely for birthdays.
Yeah.
Special birthdays and public holidays and whatnots tweak the model, but it's like I can map out my whole year in 7 minutes.
And that is what's ultimately giving you freedom. That is ultimately what's putting your mind at ease. It is giving you breathing space. It's like, oh, I got this done. Cool. I now know when I need to focus on it. I now know when I don't need to focus on it. That's a great start, because now you can spend time focusing on it and spend time doing what you want to do with your other time. Now you're going to have best of both worlds.
And this is, to me, like, depending on the business model that you have, every business is a bit different. So obviously for my brokerage, I don't need to do that. It's different. There's other things that I schedule in that I look at. Yeah. But not I'm not running workshops and intensives for that business. But to me, it's no matter what business you're in, there are fixed things that actually need your attention. And if you schedule them in pre-time, then guess what? You can look at them as one calendar, like a one-page calendar, and you can literally, like, they're colored in so you know what's going on, and then you plan your holidays around that, and you see how much space you have too.
Yes.
Like, you actually get to see just how much room there is to do other stuff. Ultimately, to me, I love that there's a really cool video on YouTube, Quinton, or I don't even know if it's from there, but if you've probably seen it, lots of people have seen it.
Yeah.
It's where a teacher goes into a classroom and he has a jar, and he has next to that jar he's got sand, he's got pebbles. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Guys, Google what I should probably call it. I don't know. Teacher, jar, big rocks, small rocks, and see what comes out. But ultimately, it's a cool video to watch. It's terrible, isn't it? Yeah, he gets into the room and he's got sand, pebbles, rocks, and big rocks.
Yeah.
And he says to them, he asks the students, what should I put in first? They're playing around with all different formulas, and the students go, put the sand in. He puts the sand in. And then he's like, what should I put in second? Oh, I'll put the pebbles in. He puts the pebbles in. What about next? The rocks. Put the rocks in. But by the time he'd done all that, he couldn't put the big rocks in. He put a couple of big rocks in, and there wasn't room for the rest of them.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, clearly that stuff just doesn't fit in the jar, they say. And he goes, no. He goes, it's because we're doing it wrong. So then he reverses the thing, and he puts the big rocks in first. Then he puts the smaller rocks in, and they dribble through into the cracks of the big rocks.
Yeah.
Then he puts the pebbles in, and they go through and fill up the cracks in between. Then he puts the sand in, and the sand fills up everything else, all the other stuff, and the jar's full. And the kids are like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And so was I when I watched it. The point of the story is, though, what are your big rocks? Because usually what we do is we're not organized, and we literally, if you look at the big rocks are the important shit in your life.
Yeah.
Your health, your family, big things that are important.
Yeah.
So when you look at the stuff that's truly important, that brings you bliss and has you be the best version of yourself, they're your big rocks. Then obviously you bring it down to what's the pebbles, what's the rocks, what's the sand in your life. And make sure that you schedule your life around that stuff.
Yeah.
If you plan out your big rocks and your rocks, first, then it's unpenetrable. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So to me, I think that we actually do acquire freedom when we're organized, when we're structured, when we're systemized, when we follow certain rules and systems that actually keep us at our best.
Yeah. That's the exact reason why I created the daily action plan as it is, because I want to focus on the number one thing, which is also known as a rock. I want to focus on the biggest bulger on that day that I can get done, which is then going to set up the time for the rest of the pedals and the rest of the sand that can take over, because I know that I've put that big rock in there. And that's the whole thing around the action plan.
Yes, exactly. And guys, do definitely tune into the other podcast we did on this. But just before we go, I just wanted to say what I loved, and since I've been doing this, it's made the biggest difference. Quinton's rule is every single day he's got three things he focuses on: his body, his mind. So we're making sure that he's feeding his mind the right stuff. So he's learning something or meditating or doing something cool to give his mind some love.
Yeah.
He's feeding his body what it needs. So his body, and look at him. I mean, he's buff. He's got the whole thing happening. And then he looks at what's one project that I could do today that's going to make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
So he focuses on finishing something that's going to help him grow in business. And as a result, it's rocking out. Ever since Quinton, shared this with me, I cannot tell you the absolute dramatic difference it's made. It's phenomenal. It's so simple and it's so beautiful when you use it.
I think the big difference is people lack the fact that they're not nurturing their mind or their body, that they leave that as to, I'll get to that eventually. But if you make that a priority, that, as we stated in the previous episode, that your body is your vessel, that is the only thing that you have that will drive you towards whatever goals that you set. Nurture it, look after it. And if we can focus each and every day, as small as it may be, to look after ourselves, to look after our health, our soul, our love, all of that, to make sure that we as a whole is up to optimum, then we can crush anything that comes our way. We can literally go through mountains. It is the fact that we don't look after ourselves. And that's what I found when I used to work with to-do lists. There wasn't a time that you actually think about, I need to go and train, I need to meditate, I need to read this, I need to learn that, I need to go for a walk, I need to go in and call this person and get that off my mind. It is so many things that we just write down. I need to do this, I need to do that. It's all work related. It's so much stress and overwhelm, which suppresses our entire immune system. But when we actually just focus on taking half an hour out and going for a walk around the block, get some fresh air, go meditate, go listen to this book, go make that call to get your feelings off your chest, go deal with that situation, that is good for the body and mind and for the soul.
Yes, 110%. It's funny because, so often, just the other day, I did a qualification call with a potential new client, just to see if and how I could help. And I said to her, what is it that you want to achieve? And she tells me what she wants to achieve, and I ask her, look, obviously she wants to achieve time freedom.
That's what they're there for.
That's right. So for me, people come to me for two reasons, or one. It's either time freedom, it's either money freedom, or it's both. And for her, she was coming for time freedom. And when I asked her why, she said so she can finally get her health back, so she can start to finally look after herself again. That in the last decade, she's really lost her physique, her health, and she wants to be able to focus on her body again.
Yeah.
And all I could think was, gosh, whoever told us as business owners you've got to sacrifice certain parts of your life for a couple of years so you can have everything later. Oh, what an asshole. I wish I could find that person and undo. I just wish that message never got out there, because it's done more harm than good.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's not true. We don't sacrifice anything in growing our business. In fact, when we do, we actually make the process longer. It's harder. If you sacrifice health and love, if all you do is work, even if you acquire the time and money freedom, guess what? It sucks. It blows. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And so, interestingly enough, that's why I love your strategy. It's what am I going to do? We're looking after ourselves all the way through. So when we get to the top of the mountain, we're whole to enjoy the view. We're not at the top of the mountain with one leg, one arm, and half our friggin' eye missing.
Yeah. You've got a walking stick. And
it's like, this is great. In agony, missing a kidney.
Yeah.
Thinking, that's all right. I'm on top of the mountain now. I can fix it. But it's so many business owners do. They keep kind of swinging from, I'll look at they'll focus on their health for a little bit and they get that right. But because they focus so much on their health, they've completely friggin' lost track of their business and or their partner, and it's like they're chasing their tail. What if instead you realize there's really only 3 things to focus on in life? And that is money, your business, love, your family, friends, connection, and health.
Yeah.
Chunk it. Chunk it for yourself that you honor these things. And to me, I love the fact that I know with you, Quinton, you plan out love time. You have specific time for you and Em, that she gets all of you in that time.
Yeah.
And once again, guys, he now gets to experience the freedom of love. However, there's rules and structure around it that gave him that experience. So, if you want freedom, fall in love with structure, rules, and systems.
What a beautiful way to end it. You have been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. You are awesome.
Friggin' love you. And by the way, guys, I'll post up in the Marketing with Vino group the file for the scrum board that I've just created. I'm getting it printed and laminated and whatnot in A2 for my peeps. So it's actually going to be in that size. So all you got to do is go to Officeworks. If you're in Australia, I don't know where you go elsewhere. Go to a printing place and just get it printed off for yourself. Stick it on your wall and start using the tool for yourself and see what difference it makes. And remember every single day to go, okay, what am I going to do for my body? What am I going to do for my mind? And what's something I could do for my business that would make a really awesome impact? Go to marketingwithvino.com, subscribe to our awesome club if you haven't already so you can access this for yourself. Love you, Quinton. Friggin' adore chatting with you every single time. Love you, listeners and watchers, and catch you next time.
Lots of love to you all.
Bye.
You've been listening to Marketing with Vino. If you enjoyed this episode and want to access the resources discussed in this episode, go to marketingwithvino.com and select which episode you've listened to.